Hi everyone, I'm Neha Butcher, CEO of Atom11, and welcome to yet another episode of AdVantage with Atom11. This is where we talk about all things Amazon. Today's episode is going to be super special. We have an Amazon veteran who's visiting us today, and we're going to learn a lot about him as well as his plans as he starts out his own agency, his own Amazon agency. But before that, very quickly, let's move on to section number one, which is updates from Atom11. What's up at Atom11? So the update that we have from Atom11 is that I'm going to be visiting the Prosper Show from March 4th to March 6th of 2024. And you can catch me live as a speaker on March 6th between 1 to 1:50 p.m. On March 6th. I'm going to be talking about retail aware advertising. It's a very new concept. It's basically where we combine retail data or retail signals like inventory, PPC, your keyword search rank, competition performance, so on and so forth, all of that within your advertising operations. So do catch me on 6th of March, 1 to 1:50 p.m. in Vegas at the Prosper Show. Now, without further ado, let's bring in our guest for today. That's Dylan Heathcote.
Hi.
Hey there. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for inviting
I'm
me
doing
onto your podcast.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm super, super happy that you're here because I'm going to be learning so much from someone who's just starting out their agency, what goes into it. For anyone who's not following Dylan, he writes these, LinkedIn posts about what he's doing as he's starting out his agency. We see Build in Public a lot from tech co-founders, but this is an agency co-founder who's actually putting out his life and how he's building his agency step by step, on LinkedIn. So I highly recommend you follow Dylan for all those updates.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's exactly
awesome,
what
Dylan.
I'm doing.
Absolutely, Dylan. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll
Sure.
get.
Okay. Hi, my name's Dylan. I am the creator of AMZ Joy, a full-service Amazon agency. I will be pretty much coming in hard into the industry and taking over what I can. I will be helping clients grow their brands and expand on Amazon. And that's essentially what my goal is yeah.
That's awesome. I think, well, here's wishing you a lot of success as you get into the agency world. So, that brings me to my first question, right? Like, there are so many agencies, right, Dylan? So, what is your story? Why are you starting another agency? What is it that you want to bring to Amazon sellers?
Yeah, so a little history about me is basically I've been selling on Amazon for the last 5 to 6 years. And I essentially know all the ins and outs from SEO, PPC, inventory management, and the list goes on. During that time, about 5 years later, I decided to join an agency, another Amazon agency, and put my skills to work. When I joined that agency, everything was really good at the start, and I was growing brands, etc., etc. But what I found is that a lot of my team members were burning out really quick. And I found that a lot of the workflows, reporting, and things like that were really inefficient. And we were wasting a lot of time on tasks that didn't need to be done, which in turn caused more stress for my team members because they couldn't focus on the important tasks and they were wasting their time doing tasks that didn't even matter. So basically, what I'm trying to do is create an agency that improves workflow, reduce reports, and limits communication between clients. It sounds like it might not work or it sounds contradicting to what the norm is, but we're essentially focusing on the tasks that are going to bring results to your brand and on Amazon instead of focusing on tasks that do not matter. But that's essentially what my vision is. And then on top of that, what I think will come from that is a better work-life balance for my team members. Less stress, less tasks, more efficient. they can get things done that they need to in the day. They don't have to work overtime, go after hours, worry about the next day. So basically,
Got
the main vision is happier team members, better results for the
got it.
brands that I manage.
So let's take this in like one by one, right? You mentioned that there are a lot of tasks which are probably not required, but agencies are doing it. So could you walk me through what are the kind of tasks that you were talking about? Like, what do you think is something that can be cut off and actually benefit both brands as well, or sellers as well as the agency team?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I think what a lot of agencies struggle with is what they call like shiny object syndrome. So they focus on too many data points and statistics that don't really make a difference whether or not the client sees them. So one example that could give you is actually two. One is weekly reporting. I don't believe weekly reporting is a good way to go about things. I mean, there are certain cases where it might be, but basing data on only 7 days of, revenue, Amazon spending, profit, whatever. I just don't think it's a suitable time frame to be making big decisions. So I'm more looking at bi-weekly to monthly reports where you can make better decisions with the data that you have. So more data, you can make better decisions. Less data, you're probably making decisions too early. The second one is, look, I can only judge this on the agency that I worked with, but client meetings. So they were based on bi-weekly meetings. And I just found that a lot of the times this was wasted time. Because once again, 2 weeks in business is nothing. And a lot of the times you can get tasks across of what you've completed in different ways. So one is like creating a client dashboard where they can go and see, okay, what tasks have been completed in the last week, the last 2 weeks, and the last month. I don't think you need to do a bi-weekly monthly to update them on that. There's other ways to go about it to save time. So yeah, those are basically two of the ways that we'll be reducing time and improving our workflow processes.
Got it. So here's the next question, just coming out of this one, right? So, but like on Amazon, on a place like Amazon, so many things change so fast, right? Like, the trends that you want to catch and all of that. So, how will the team and the client basically communicate between themselves about, trends or inventory, for example, or if you're doing PPC? So, how do you plan to manage all of those things without any intimation from the client?
So I have two ways. Essentially, what you're asking is how can I send data to my clients and update them on any trends or tasks that need to be updated? So there's two ways that I'm doing this. One is I have a person that creates essentially like seller dashboards where they can customize
Okay,
what data goes into that, like advertising data, revenue, profit, et cetera. And I have the option of making it client facing or just back end facing. And then
got
with that, we can set up automated reports. So it can send whatever. So you'll find with clients, you'll know what data they actually want to see and what data they want to be updated with. And then you kind of lock that down into the client dashboard or the tool that I'm using to send out automatic reports based on the data that they want. That can be set up weekly, bi-weekly, and that's still eliminating the weekly meeting that I need to have in person. It's just sending a report summarized. But in regards to updates on Amazon and any changes, that's a little different. Once again, that does not require a weekly meeting, but if it's something important, it'll be just through a quick email
got
just
it,
to let
got it.
them know. And if it's urgent and they don't see the email or anything like that, I will call them. So there are definitely different scenarios where I will base decisions upon those. But yeah,
Got it. So basically, what you're saying is that I'm not against meetings. I'm against unnecessary wasting of time for both the client and this. And I think probably what you would have seen in your past is that there were some ineffective or redundant workflows that were set up. So you're trying to automate and create better workflows to make both the client as well as the team more efficient. So again, just coming out of here, what do you think that will this bring for the client? Like in terms of a client, how do you differentiate yourself um, versus another agency? Because another agency is actually giving in a lot of time and a lot of bandwidth to the client versus you. So how do those how will you pitch yourself to the
That's
client?
a good question because it sounds like when you're applying more bandwidth to a client, you think that equals better results. But it comes back to my first point, which is there's a lot of bandwidth that is spent on tasks that don't need to be done. So then you can restructure that to make sure the bandwidth is spent on tasks that are actually bringing results for the brand. So when you work at other agencies, you'll see it's chaotic. There's tasks going all over the place, things like that. But this can be cut down. You can, if you go through 100 tasks, you can probably cut it down to 10 that are actually going to bring results for the brand. And that's my goal. So there will be more bandwidth available for that client to focus on important tasks. So that's essentially how we're going to differentiate ourselves from other agencies, focusing on the tasks that matter and focusing on the tasks that bring results to your brand, and not focusing on tasks that are a waste of time, the tasks that don't allow us to make any decisions or strategize in growth. So we're essentially cutting down on the crap.
So, what are like? Let's talk about what are the tasks that will actually give you results. So, what will you spend about majority of your time on, and what are the tasks that you believe? And I think that you've made it very clear, right? Like redundant meetings is something that you will cut out. But what are the tasks that you will focus on, which will actually help the client make more money?
The tasks that we'll be focusing on for clients to bring results are essentially breaking down into four categories, which is design, SEO, advertising, and catalog work. So design, you're essentially just focusing on design work, which is images, like listing images, main image, which is has a huge impact, listing images that helps with conversion, talking about features, us versus them, like competitors, and then A plus content. Once again, breaking down the product and what its features are that improves conversion. That's pretty much those tasks done for design. Moving on to SEO, the tasks will include improving backend search terms, title, bullets, and this all comes down to keyword research, and then implementing those keywords into the listing. That's pretty much SEO. We don't need to make it any more complicated than that. Every few months, we can cycle those keywords and try to push for organic ranking on keywords that are just slightly behind. That's
Mhm.
SEO in a nutshell. Advertising. Once again, this comes down to your other strategies, that keyword foundation. You're doing that proper keyword research, and then you can set up successful PPC campaigns. This comes down to budget and things like that, yes, but then you pick out your keywords that are either competitive or have a higher buyer intent, which is a little less competitive. So, for example, like basketball poster, competitive,
Mhm.
or use a long tail keyword of higher buy intent, basketball posters for boys' room
Yeah.
in America.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
really long, but you get what I'm saying about buyer intent. And then catalog and troubleshooting is essentially any issues that arise on Amazon, like hijackers, suppressions, and things like that. But what I'm trying to say is that we're breaking down these categories to make them very simplistic. There's only a
Mm.
few things that you need to focus on in each category to bring results. And what I find with other agencies is they chuck in all this fluff, all these extra tasks. It looks pretty. It probably looks pretty to the client. They're like, wow, look at all these tasks that have been completed. But do they actually bring results to the brand? No, it's just simply to look pretty, and that's the difference that I think that we're going to make.
So let's talk about operations, right? Because basically, what I'm hearing is that you want to put in a lot of um, time on making sure that, for example, keyword research is happening on time, your design, your catalog is up to date, so on and so forth. So you want to keep making changes and making sure that you're experimenting enough on all of these different areas. Uh, how do you plan to operationalize this? What are the kind of tools that you're looking at? What are the kind of things that you want to do in terms of your workflows that will either automate it or make it more uniform? I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. My next question to you is because that most agencies are usually people dependent, right? It will depends a lot on the quality of people that you hire, and that's why a lot of times as an agency you want to kind of uniformize, if that's even a word, your workflows so that the quality of work which is going to the client is very uniform and you're not facing people dependent issues. So first question is, how do you plan to operationalize, and second is, how will you make your agency less and less people dependent? I mean, it's going to be people dependent, but the quality of work be less and less people dependent or person dependent.
Yeah. So number one comes down to the project management tool that I'm using, which is ClickUp.
Okay.
And essentially, you're building all the processes out on the back end to make extremely smooth workflow process. So, how do I break this down? So, your main question is, how am I going to do this in a project management sense? When it comes to workflow management and workflow processes, I'm using a tool called ClickUp, which is a really good tool to use if you build it properly from the start. So essentially, what I'm saying is that with ClickUp, if you build the backend processes before you start working with clients, it's going to improve workflow so much. So, what are the issues that we mainly deal with workflow? One is, who's doing the tasks? How long should the task take? What tools do you need to use to do that task? Um, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but whose role is it in the business? Then you need to do the work, have the work reviewed, make those changes, and then upload. So
Hmm.
essentially, without being able to show you my screen, that is all built into ClickUp. So there's
Okay.
certain stages. So if there's a design task, I can simply assign that to my graphic designer, and then it has a workflow already built out for it. So there's to do, in progress, revision, client review, changes,
Mhm.
completion, right? And then what you find is with other agencies is it's a lot more less complicated, not less complicated, a lot more black and white. So it's like, assign this task to person to check it, assign person back to check it, assign person out to check it. There's no like process to what point it's up to. So the agency that I was working with, essentially, you get the designer gets assigned a task. They do the task. It doesn't change colors. It doesn't tell you what step they're onto. They just do it, and then they send it to someone else, and then it just becomes a mess. So these are workflows that you need to build out before moving forward. It's the essential back end of the entire operation, and that's what we're doing. So it's really hard to explain this without showing you the tool, but
Screens.
it's all built out. And then essentially, um, finding employees or team members that can do the job. I think that comes from setting standards within the company, but then having trust in your team members. And what I've found is that a lot of these team members have connections. So once you get a good read on a person and you understand their work ethic and things like that, I think a lot of finding similar minded people or similar work ethic comes from connections within. So this comes back to my vision, which is creating a work life balance for my employees where they show loyalty to me, they are happy, and then they bring like-minded people to the company. And that's
Mm.
essentially how I will build out my stuff, and it's already working and is in place, and it's been working extremely well.
That's
So
awesome.
I don't
That's
think that's a
awesome.
strategy many agencies use either.
Got it. And do you already have, sorry, I'll just cut it out if it's not. So do you already have clients, Dylan, or?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
perfect. So then let's move on to the next question. So now that you already have onboarded, your first few clients, um, I mean, it's not a case study, but what are the kind of differences that you're already seeing from, a traditional work ethic or a traditional workflow management that you've seen in the past versus the new workflow management that you're trying to employ at your agency?
Okay, so what we're seeing is a basically faster turnaround. So when I've worked for other agencies, is that if there's important tasks to be done, such as back-end search terms, you'll find that that process takes almost 1.5 weeks to complete, from the keyword research to sending that revision to the client and then getting it uploaded to Amazon. And
Mm-hmm.
what we're finding with the workflow that we use is we're essentially shortening the steps. So for the same task, it would only take us 1 to 3 days to from starting to implementation. And what does this mean
Interesting.
for the client? This means that tasks are completed quicker and that brings results to the account. So I'm sure you know how back-end search terms, but if you sign up with an agency, you probably want those things done within the first week, quick, because that is something that brings results, and it takes a little more time for it to kick in. So that's how we're working on the time management side of things. Those I would call it almost like a condensed checklist. It is very condensed. There's only limited steps. It comes back again. Without example, it's hard to show, but other agencies have a lot of steps in between. Do this, that, where you can really cut it down to just 3 steps. And
Hmm.
then quickly communicate that with the client in an email, get it approved, and then upload. There doesn't have to be so many steps to simple tasks that bring results.
Interesting. Um, and then comes the so we've looked at time management and client management, and actually basically saying that, hey, you know what, when you cut down the time, you're actually giving back to the client a lot faster, and that you good? Perfect.
Sorry, it keeps going blurry for some reason.
Yeah, that's okay. I think, I think your strategy of just going back and then coming back, I think the laptop gets some time to focus.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, I think your strategy about time management works really well because the client is now getting a much faster turnaround on the task that they are assigned to the agency. And how is it working in terms of the team management? I guess it's probably too early to ask about performance. But yeah, I just also wanted to understand if there's anything performance that you want to talk about, or otherwise just also about the team management part of it.
I think the team management part of it is basically with condensing these checklists and things like that, I'm able to manage the team better and get more tasks assigned to them because they can complete more in a day and a week. So the team management side of things is going a lot smoother. I would say the performance is really good because and once again, this is all built out in the back end, but the tasks have instructions and templates built into them. So the instructions are super simple to follow, the steps are super simple to follow, and it's all streamlined. So in regards to team management, it's becoming a lot easier for me because there's not as much back and forth. It's not as messy. It's very clean and condensed, and things are just getting done so much quicker. My team is a lot happier because they don't have to deal with so much mess. So overall, the performance is really good.
That's amazing. That's lovely to know. And you know what? I think I would love to. I wish we could share our screen and let you show uh, what are the kind of processes that you're using. But I think I'm going to be hooked to your LinkedIn posts and maybe just get some juice from there and see what are the kind of project management tools as well as activities that you're doing to really make things efficient on your end.
That's funny you say that because I'm actually building out a workflow chart right now in a diagram to share on LinkedIn. Like I'm sharing the entire process that I do, which is broken down from, if you use ClickUp, you'll understand, but it comes down to like there's spaces, which is like delivery, and then it breaks down to client, and then it breaks out into all other factors such as onboarding, SEO, design, advertising, catalog, and then those branch off and just it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So
Yeah.
I'll be sharing that on LinkedIn soon. I'll be sharing everything. I'm not hiding.
That's lovely. And I think, build in public, I think is the way to go in 2024. So lovely to see that, you are one of the founders who's doing that. So lovely. And I think I'm going to be watching your journey from the sidelines and just rooting for you. So
Thank
good
you.
luck.
I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And now we will go to our next section, which is going to be a super fun section. And you are going to have to be super, super rapid and super, super fiery in this rapid fire section. Are you ready?
Okay, I can
All
do
right.
that.
Bring it. Sorry.
I can do that. No problem.
Let's see. If you meet Jeff Bezos tomorrow, what are you going to complain about?
Lower the fees.
Good one. Which is your favorite dinosaur?
Pterodactyl, because right now my son is screaming and he sounds just like one.
My God, wait until he grows up. He's going to have his own favorite dinosaurs. If Amazon gives you one feature wish, what is that going to be? What are you going to
Allow us
ask
to
for?
go. Oh, sorry. Allow us to go back further in time on the PPC reports.
High five again. My God, yes. Oh, yeah, it's just the 2 months. It's really hard. But you know
Yep.
what? That's what Atom 11 is for. Because then on Atom 11, you can actually go back a year and then see,
There
your
you go.
performance. Yeah. What do you prefer, PPC or pricing changes?
Pricing changes.
No, don't say that. What do you prefer, PPC or SEO?
PPC.
Good job. What is your one sales hack on Amazon?
My one what? Sorry.
Sales hack.
My one sales hack is keep switching around the keywords on your listing to gain more organic rankings for other keywords.
Yeah, and just keep indexing your product. Great
Yes.
one. What is it one secret Amazon strategy that no one knows?
I feel like a lot of people. Oh, I learned one yesterday. Okay, so they recently made an. Oh, sorry, this is rapid fire. They recently made an update where you can do 500 characters in the search terms. But what people don't realize is that in some categories, there's a sentence under it that says "add more," so you can keep going, add more, add more, add more, and you can actually add 2,500 characters of search terms. Just saw it yesterday.
Wow, on Seller Central, like I can
Yep,
add 2,500. So that's amazing.
that's a lot.
I think, okay, I have to come back to this question just after the rapid fire because I think this might have something to do with Project Nile. But let me come
Okay,
back. What do you think? What would you prefer? Focus on Amazon or diversify your sales?
I diversify.
Ah, okay. And my last question is if you weren't doing AMZ Joy, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be in prison. No, I'm kidding.
Ah,
I would probably be working for another agency, being a
yeah.
manager or something like that.
Oh, that's lovely, lovely. Well, coming back to your point, why are they allowing 2,500 search terms, right, in the back end?
It's a
So,
lot.
some time ago, I was reading about this thing called Project Nile, where Amazon is trying to bring in Chat GPT kind of search, where customers will be able to have a conversation with Amazon and ask for, let's say, um, what shirt would look good on me or best running shoes. And, so it'll actually tell you that these are the kind of running shoes that you might need. There are four, five types of running shoes: type one, type two, type three, type four, and then it'll describe each one of them and then tell you, okay, which one suits me the best if I want to run on a hill, right? So I think the reason why they're actually gaining more, asking for more and more keywords is probably because they want to train the algo for like really deep words and not just the superficial ones. I don't know. What do you think?
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard of Project Now before, but that sounds like a really that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, there was a recent video from Walmart where the Walmart CEO said, I think it was the CEO, he said that at Walmart, they are changing search in a way that was never seen before. Like you could just go to Walmart and say, plan a party for me, and then it will not just show you balloons, but everything that you need for a party. And then
Ooh,
now search is going to be much more involved rather than just searching for a single item and be done with it, right?
that's a
So
really interesting thought, and I think that's actually made me change my thought around what search terms I'll use for clients because that makes a lot of sense. Where like you can type in a keyword that is completely different to what they're looking for, but your product will well, it's not completely different, but terms that your product wouldn't usually show up for that is related will then show up for those search terms, like how to plan a party.
yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Amazon's going to change. So, right, like, I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes. So, I'm pretty sure that the strategies that we've been using for a long time, uh, those are going to, evolve from here on. And I think only the agencies or the tools who are actually looking into every single change and then adapting themselves to it are going to, you know, be able to differentiate themselves from the
Yeah.
traditional.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's where you have to keep up with the changes and constantly adapt because like you said, Amazon's always changing. I've heard rumors that I mean some categories already have it, but like they're adding all these search terms and then they're going to reduce the size of the title, right? So,
Yes, I heard
so
that.
I think a lot of this is going to change and you really need to keep up to date with these changes.
Absolutely. That brings us to the end of this amazing conversation that I've had with you, Dylan. I think I have it was a very, I think for a very long time I must have thought in my head that how much change can a workflow really make uh in terms of performance for a client. But when you actually started giving those examples, Dylan, as to how much time is being saved before you can actually turn around a deliverable by making these workflows more and more efficient, I'm pretty sure that I don't know about other agencies. I'm pretty sure that client would want much better timelines, in which your work is turned around. So I'm pretty sure that the kind of workflows that you are building are going to be a blessing for your clients as well as for your own team. And I wish
Yeah.
you all the very best as you grow your as you grow AMZ Joy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here.
There we go. We were in conversation with the amazing Dylan Heathcote from AMZ Joy, and I learned a lot about workflows and making efficient workflows around your workplace, not just for your agency but also for Atom11, right? So I think I'm going to be taking back a lot of good things after from Dylan's talk. uh, do give it a watch, to watch from starting to end. I think Dylan drops in a lot of good management bombs during the entire talk. So I think it was a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming, Dylan, and until next time, take care.